Peggy, hold my calls for a few minutes, please.
Hey everyone, TheBarracuda57 here. For this video, I'll be talking about INFJ humour. Also, that thing I just did there, that's not INFJ psychic powers, that's just me being stupid and using camera tricks. But yeah, anyway, for this video, I'll be talking about INFJ humour. I'll be talking about what we find funny. And obviously I can't speak for everyone because everyone finds different things funny, but I'm going to speak as a kind of majority base idea, a collective idea, and you know, just what I think many people will connect with who are similar and think and function in the same way. So yeah, this won't be as long, I imagine, as my other videos, so yeah. When I was younger, yeah, I'll do that again. When I was younger, I couldn't really even be funny if I tried. The only way I was funny was kind of being clumsy, misinterpreting myself, contradicting what I say, you know, trying to pick something up and then dropping it, or, you know, just being awkward. And, you know, it can be quite annoying because that's kind of like we're in our natural state, our SE, our weakest function, sensing, extroverted sensing. If it's not developed, you can be very clumsy, make mistakes, misinterpret yourself, contradict yourself, all these things, and you know, people laugh at that. But at the end of the day, if you can laugh at yourself, then it doesn't matter what people think, because if you can laugh at yourself, you can go, yeah, we are human at the end of the day, and that you can say that for anyone. You can be any type, and if you can laugh at yourself, you know, it just goes to show no one's perfect, nobody's perfect, no type's perfect. And we're all human beings and we all make mistakes, because whether you like it or not, we do. We make mistakes. But I'd say because of our weakest function, we make mistakes a lot. Because of SE, extroverted sensing, if you don't know what that is, please learn the cognitive functions because it's not difficult. By having SE, it just causes us to contradict ourselves, and if it's not developed, you make a lot of mistakes, both verbally and physically, and, you know, it can make things funny when you don't really want it to be. When you're trying to be serious, you can contradict yourself, or you can make a mistake and then people laugh and you go, alright, let me explain what I was trying to say then, kind of thing. And yeah, it becomes a joke and it becomes funny even though you weren't meaning it to, which is nice because it's natural rather than forcing a joke, kind of thing. I really like word humour. I like subtle humour. I don't like kind of The thing is, I can't speak for everyone, obviously, because you're going to have mature INFJ, you're going to have immature INFJ, well, immature is not the word, less mature INFJ. You're going to have INFJ who like vulgar humour, you're going to like INFJ who like subtle humour, you're going to have INFJ who are, you know, like kind of a healthy humour, which isn't like making fun of everyone. You're going to have INFJ who are more skewed to kind of dark humour, and, you know, quite aggressive humour, or quite crazy humour. Well, not crazy, but you know what I mean. But, you know, everyone likes different things, everyone has their own preference. Even though we all think and function in the same way, because we've had different experiences, had different parents, had different, you know, all grown up differently, we're all going to find different things funny. But there will be a collective which we all kind of connect with, and there's going to be a collective kind of mentality and a collective kind of humour that we all share. And that's the whole point of this video, is to explore what that is. So, to help further with this video, if you're an INFJ or think you're an INFJ, please leave a comment in the section below. Or if you're another type, please state your type and comment in the section below and say what you find funny. It'll just be interesting to see the variety of different mindsets. But also take in mind that everyone's individual, so obviously everything they say won't exactly be everything you like, but it's still good to explore and kind of think and, you know, philosophize about. So yeah, it's cool. But in my case, I love subtle humour, I love wordplay. I love it when someone makes a joke and the word has a double meaning. I like kind of dirty humour, because it's kind of like, it's subtle. Well, it depends how you say it, because if you're really blunt and say, yeah, I'm not going to use an example, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but if you use an example that's really blunt, it's kind of like, that's dirty. But if you use an example which is subtle and quite clever, you go, huh, that's dirty, that's clever. But yeah, you know, it's just kind of like, if you can kind of do it in an intelligent way, in a clever way, have double word meaning, I love that. I find it really funny. A good example is The Office, with really subtle humour. The Office, the USA version of The Office, I absolutely love that. But yeah, I also like kind of contextual humour, and kind of like where people act, but they act in a natural way rather than act in a forced way. Because I have a few friends who act kind of really stupid for the sake of getting a result, or for the sake of getting a response, and everyone's like, children, please. But, you know, it's kind of like, they're quite childish. They're good people, but they're quite childish, so because of that, they're kind of like jumping around and doing stupid things for attention, and it's like, oh, come on, you can do it in a more subtle way rather than causing mayhem in the environment kind of thing. There's more subtle ways of doing it. But yeah, I like contextual humour, and I like kind of like visual humour. So a really good example of that is a show called, so verbal kind of wordplay humour. A good show for that, if you haven't seen it, is The Office, the USA version, which is really good. It's a really good series. Another good series is Blackadder, which many of you guys might know about. But kind of visual humour and kind of like contextual humour I absolutely love, and a really good show for that is a show called Impractical Jokers. And it's the USA version. The UK version is appalling. Don't even watch it. But the USA version of Impractical Jokers is brilliant, and it basically it's these four friends who basically put each other in situations, and they have to act out parts, and they have to act out being a person at a shop, they have to act out kind of giving information, they have to act out being in an office, and all these things. It's absolutely brilliant. But I love that because it's kind of like, I think it's to do with our chameleon side and our chameleonism, which we can kind of like temporarily become different people, and saying that can, if you develop it, be very good actors. But I've never laughed so much watching Impractical Jokers. I was literally in tears. I loved it so much. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's just clever. It's just like clever, and you're kind of like portraying yourself as a different person temporarily to kind of fit in with whatever scenario you're in, whether it's an office, a public place, you know, at a pool, at a beach, on vacation, at a formal place, at a restaurant, you know, all these things. It's just like, it's brilliant. What's really funny, seeing as this is a funny video, or talking about humour anyway, what's funny is that when I was younger, I couldn't be funny if I tried. If I tried, I wouldn't be funny. And it's kind of like, obviously, humour is something you can't force, and when you try and force it, it's unnatural, it's inauthentic, and it's like, you're trying too hard, mate, kind of thing. So when I was younger, I was kind of like going through all the different groups and kind of hanging out with one group, hanging out with another group, hanging out with another group, hanging out with another group, to kind of feel what kind of like group they were like. So I did a lot of that. I kind of went from place to place. I didn't really kind of belong anywhere. So what I did was I hung out with a group which was they were the jokers, basically, and I tried to kind of like act like them and be like them, to kind of experiment on how they did things, basically. I just liked people. I liked to understand people and see how people did things differently. So the jokers used a lot of sarcasm, which is good. Sarcasm's a good thing to have, because it's better to be sarcastic to someone rather than hit them in the face, for example. It's how you kind of like respond with situations. Basically, sarcasm is better than aggression, which I've come to learn, because I used to be very aggressive. But they used to be very sarcastic, and they did it so much I couldn't tell when they were being serious, because when they were being serious, they would use their sarcastic voice, and I was like, are you being serious? I can't tell. But so basically I stayed with them for a while, hung out in that group, and they were making jokes and all these things. And they were using a lot of sarcasm. They were making up scenarios and saying, oh, so-and-so did this. That's a bit like if they did this kind of thing. You know, that kind of sarky comments, kind of like sarcastic comments kind of thing. But yeah, whenever I tried, it wouldn't work. And I was like, I did it for a year, and everyone was kind of like, oh, wow. I mean, that's quite direct. I'm like, what are you saying? I'm being sarcastic. And they were like, okay, if you say so. And the thing is, people started to be offended by my jokes, and I was doing the exact same thing. I was not doing anything different. I was doing the exact same things as the jokers I was with. And after a week, I asked them, why don't people find me funny? I mean, I'm doing the exact same thing as you. I'm saying the exact same things as you. I'm not doing it any different. People can understand what I'm saying. And they said to me, Barry, the reason why people don't find you funny is because when you say a joke, it sounds like you're saying it for real. You're not, it's like you're actually saying this is what happened, rather than saying, oh, so-and-so did this. Oh God, it's almost as if she did this kind of thing. But with me, when I said it, it was like, so-and-so said this, and because of that, it's almost like she's this. And do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a whole different thing. It's like, by saying it like that, it sounds serious, it sounds real, it sounds authentic. And they were saying to me, Barry, like, you can't be funny. And that's not to say that we can't be funny. We can be funny, but in different ways. But when we try to be funny, often it doesn't work, because we're so serious. We're so kind of like, we're almost too real, to the extent that we feel it's necessary to say how it is rather than kind of joke about it, because by joking about it, it's a lie. But obviously that's us in our natural state, but we learn to adapt and change. So obviously I'm not really good, but I'm much better at sarcasm than I was when I was young. And I'm much better now making blunt, subtle, kind of like dry humour jokes in comparison to what I was before, because when I was younger, I'd be really blunt and direct and kind of say it authentically, and people would think I'd be serious. So yeah, it's strange, because I don't think that basically as counsellors, it's not in our natural kind of like being and essence to be, you know, informal, jokey, humorous. Because if you think of counsellors as a kind of like type, if you think of counsellors like in the job, in the workforce, and if you think of counsellors as in kind of like who they are, it's quite serious, direct, formal, reserved, you know, all these things. They're not kind of like the energy which you attach to a jester for a king. It wouldn't be the type of person you connect to a comedian on stage. But that's not to say that we can't be any of those things. I mean, Billy Crystal is an example of a funny INFJ. Adam Sandler's an example of a funny INFJ. That's not to say that we can't be funny, but you are who you are. INFJs think and function in the same way, but if you want to be humorous and you want to be jokey, then fair enough, because you can be whatever you want to be. That's what I'm saying. If you try and be funny, this can go for any type. If you're trying to be funny, you usually won't be funny. If you're just if you don't think about what you're doing and something happens, you're funny. But don't try to be funny for the sake of being funny, because it's just empty gestures. It's basically like hugging everyone, but you don't really mean it, kind of thing. In the same way that if you try and make jokes all the time, it's not the same effect as if you make a joke once a week. It'll be more effective doing it that way, kind of thing. Oh crap, the camera's fallen. There we go. So yeah, anyway, where was I? I'm just trying to think where I was. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So basically, to sum up, we like okay, again, obviously I'm going to say, this isn't for all INFJs, but I'm using this as a base example. We're all going to find different things funny, obviously. But this is a base example, a base understanding of what we like. Contextual humour, subtle humour, wordplay humour, metaphorical humour, visual humour, and kind of like sarcastic humour to an extent, blunt humour, satire to an extent, and kind of like anything kind of visual, expressive, anything kind of like creative, and anything kind of clever but involves words. As we're very kind of like wordy people. That's not a word, obviously, but we're very wordy people. That's why you can see on Facebook, for example, we make a lot of jokes, we make a lot of written jokes, but obviously written jokes won't be the same in real life. So obviously we aren't as verbal, or we can be, but a lot of us aren't as verbal in real life as we are on the internet. Because everyone on the internet, like, you know, is really kind of like ballsy, basically. So basically we'll make a lot of jokes kind of like on the forums, but in real life, because we're old souls, we're quite reserved, and if you imagine what a grandpa and a grandma's like, we're not going to be as jokey in comparison to like a very kind of like extroverted, loud, jokey kind of person. Because we're counsellors at the end of the day. But yeah, it's something to think about. So, for you guys, as kind of like base examples, good shows to watch are The Office, the USA version, Impractical Jokers, the USA version, and Blackadder, the UK version. But though I've said that, don't say that that's good. I'm not saying that's for all INFJs, because we all find different things funny. But that's what I find funny. That's the kind of stuff I like, and I love it, basically. But yeah, please leave a comment in the section below. What you find funny. Please state your type, so we can like have a range of kind of like humours and a range understanding of kind of like what people find funny. And at the end of the day, if you had to choose aggression and anger over humour, I'd always choose humour. It's better to be sarcastic to somebody rather than being aggressive and punching them in the face, kind of thing. So if given the choice, always choose sarcasm over aggression, is what I'm trying to say. That's just kind of like from my kind of personal experience, because it just gets you out of a lot of trouble being sarcastic, basically. But anyway, enough of that. Anyway, I'm going to do the chair spin now, but yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I've hoped it helped, and yeah, there's nothing really more for me to say apart from that, but I hope you enjoyed. And please like, share and subscribe to my videos if you've enjoyed them, or if you didn't enjoy them, it's up to you. But yeah, this is TheBarracuda57, over and out. My head.